When I was talking about the show, I thought to myself, this would be a really great resource for new parents and new mothers that are in the position that I'm in, that have questions, that don't know what to ask. And this was going to be a way for me to kind of find out what those questions were for myself.
My background is in human and organizational systems and human development. And just based on my own birth experiences, which were a number of years ago, I've come to the conclusion that people want to make their own choices, but they want to make informed choices. So what we're aiming to do with this TV series is to present information, to bring in subject matter experts, to talk to parents, and explore the kaleidoscope of choices that are available to new parents. Becoming a parent is life-altering. So much changes. How we see ourselves, how we see others, and how we see our place in the world. It's essential that we surround ourselves with people who support and love us. In this episode, we'll talk with parents and professionals, starting with Rosanna, Randy, and Nadia, all mothers and doulas. You'll also hear from counselor Amy and psychologist Sharon. While all of them recognize how joyful it is to become a parent, they also know how challenging it can be, and they encourage us to find our tribe.
I was very prepared. So near the end of my pregnancy, I hired a doula, I did a lot of research, and we took, my husband and I took prenatal classes, and so I was very prepared, but I had no preparation of what I was going to feel. And so as my labor started to begin and I started to feel something, a lot of excitement just came over me. And throughout that, pieces of what I had learned in research started coming together, like, wow, this is the moment. I'm going to be a family, like we are going to have a family be born today, which is just such an incredible feeling. So the moment when I gave birth and that release that I felt of all of that hard work just completed, and the doctor looking up at me and saying, oh, he's gonna cry. And the second we heard that cry and him just on my chest, it was just an incredible feeling. I can't even describe the feeling of, you think you know you might be able to sort of guess and have an idea of how much joy you'll feel, but there's nothing that can describe that feeling.
The transformation to parenthood is not always easy. It's not always natural, but finding what works for you and finding people that support you in your choices and your role as a parent is of utmost importance. You can't do it alone. It's something that a village needs to rally around.
I feel like the tribe of motherhood is very sacred, and that it's so important to understand that all women have a choice and that the right way is what we intuitively feel is the right way. How you choose to feed your child and clothe them, and how you choose to birth and how birth happens is ultimately the way birth is designed to happen.
What's so important about motherhood and sharing that information is that I think that it's an area that we've really lost as a society.
When motherhood is portrayed in the media or in society as just this time that's nothing but glorious, I think it leaves everybody to some extent feeling like they're maybe not measuring up because they're not feeling wonderful 100% of the time.
The tribe of parenthood starts with support. Supporting each other, supporting our choices, and really knowing that each parent trusts themselves to do what they feel is right for their child.
Certainly there's lots of joy, and often for many people it is a really glorious time. But it's also a time with many challenges on many levels, physically, emotionally, socially, even spiritually for some people.
I think we expect to go into it without any hiccups. And I think that it's a huge transformation that really needs a lot of coaxing and support.
When I think about the myth of motherhood, I think about this pervasive idea that everything from pregnancy to birth and postpartum and parenting is just this purely glorious experience. And I think that that's pretty incongruent with the reality of all of these parts of the transition.
How a woman can find a tribe, I think, is different now than it used to be. I was involved in mother-to-mother support for many, many years, and that meant meeting in homes and meeting at libraries and meeting at community centers. And now, largely, it means meeting online.
If women are feeling like they're not enjoying motherhood enough, they might be having feelings of inadequacy or of failure.
So I think if a mother can find a tribe that's in person, that she can attend, that she can feel invested in and supported in and accepted in, that's a huge piece of her identity, and that helps her see herself in her new role.
When they have these sort of feelings and think that they're maybe the only ones experiencing that, it can be pretty distressing and disconnecting and isolating, especially if they feel that they can't talk about sort of the real experience.
It's important to have that support and to have the community of people who are all in this together, whether we do things differently, whether we feed differently and how we parent. We're all on the same team, which is a parenting team.
Welcome back. In this segment, we speak with 3 mothers who are also nurses. Kate, Catherine, and Talia talk about one of the first parenting choices, infant feeding. They'll talk about making different choices and the importance of respect within your tribe.
Certainly whatever is comfortable for you is the best thing, but ultimately women and you know, families are just out there doing the best they can for their kids, and they're all under a lot of pressure. My kids are my priority, so I'm going to feed them and take care of them anywhere, anytime, and if it makes someone uncomfortable, we can talk about it. I'd love to talk about it with them, but they're wrong. I'm not doing anything perverted or dirty. They can simply move their eyes to a different part of the room.
Like, I'm not sure how you feel with, like, obviously your other daughter's older, but like even going out now that she's older and can ask for it, like you get even more kind of like strange looks. Like, I think it's changing, it's shifting. Like, oh, you have a newborn, they're this big, they're allowed to nurse in public. So you get kind of a bit of a shift as they get older. Like, she's able to sign for it, and sometimes you're like, oh, is it appropriate? Well, of course it's appropriate. You're, again, taking care of your child, and they might not want a glass of water, or they might not want to drink from a cup.
And the whole family might not like to pick up and move from wherever they are, because you have to take everyone with you. All
right,
to supervise them, to
the nice little bathroom yourself with a chair.
So that doesn't work.
Yeah,
I agree. I definitely agree with nursing in public, and I think that's a really important movement. I do also know mothers who choose not to breastfeed, and I do believe that it's important after they've been given, you know, the education that they should have, that they be supported in their choice and not be judged. And I can't call to research, but saying that breastfed kids are smarter, or they have a higher IQ, or this or that. And for a mother who's chosen not to breastfeed, to take that upon herself is a really huge burden to bear. And I just think it should be more about supporting the choice of the women.
I remember at library class I met a lady who struggled severely with breastfeeding for 11 weeks, and she was so like,
they just get
so
tortured over it.
shamed,
They just get
tortured.
Yeah.
Like, it was just an awful experience for her, and it shouldn't be. Like, again, lots of support in pregnancy and everything like that, but sometimes it doesn't work out, and you kind of gotta like own it and go with it, and it's okay, and you don't need to feel bad or hurt yourself emotionally, physically.
I love your words, because it's so important to say that, all not judging people. Everyone's doing the best they can. And to judge someone who's formula feeding, you don't know their story. You know, they might have desperately wanted to breastfeed, and they couldn't access the help quickly enough. That's a problem. So, I mean, definitely no judgment on anybody.
Now, let's look at a difficult choice that parents make: how to spend their time, whether it's staying at home, working from home, or working outside the home. In this segment, our guests encourage you to make choices that are best for you and your family. We'll also introduce you to Letta, who appears in several episodes. She's a day home operator and will share tips about choosing care for your children if that's the road that you take.
When a woman becomes a mother, deciding how to spend her time, I think at times is a lose-lose proposition, because whatever she's doing, she feels she needs to be doing something different. So if she goes back to work and uses her education to further her career, she's not a good enough mother because she's not at home mothering the baby. And if she's home mothering the baby, then she's not out earning a living and supporting her family in their day-to-day needs. And if she's doing that, she's not with her social network. Maybe she's not pursuing her relationship appropriately. I think it's really hard to successfully wear all of the hats that you need to wear as a woman in the early childbearing years and do them all well.
Those decisions that women are faced with around the middle to end of the maternity leave, around what next in terms of career, will I stay at home, will I go back to work, will I find a new job? Those are questions that a lot of women really grapple with.
For myself, working after having a child is a difficult decision for any parent. I was privileged and blessed enough to have my husband be an entrepreneur and work from home for the majority of his life. And when we decided to become parents, we thought that it was very important for us to stay home with our child in his early years and with our children to create that close family dynamic. I understand how hard it can be for people to return to work after parenting, so I really respect that that's a very difficult decision.
It is so challenging, and I actually think that the bar has raised quite a bit for women now. Again, we have so much research available to us that a woman has more opportunities socially and professionally than she used to, but may feel if she's not pursuing those, she's not doing the right thing. And then we know how important mothering is to her child. So if she's not pursuing that 150%, she may not be doing, in her own mind, the right thing. And in fact, it probably goes back to Winnicott. Doing a good enough job in any of those areas is really the best we can ask.
One thing that I have learned from the clients that I've worked with is that it can be really helpful to work through a bit of a values exercise where you're spending some time really consciously reflecting on what are the values that are now most important to me, like now that I'm a mother.
It's a balance of working outside of the house and inside of the house, and I guess just being there, being present. I didn't want to have other people take care of my child, but I understand how hard that is for other parents to come to that decision.
When parents are looking for care for their children, there's a few things they need to keep in mind. There really is quite a few options. There's big daycare centers where there's just a lot more children. There's agencies who run day homes, and there's certain things to consider when it comes to that. They have their own sort of set of rules, amount of children that you can have. There's registered private day homes. You're going to want to look into all of those things. I would say if you want your kids more in a family, like tight-knit family environment, then you're going to want to go for a day home. You're going to want to be looking for professionalism too. I guess it's a good balance. It has to be a good balance between professionalism and your child feeling like they're in a family. I would make my parents feel really comfortable. However, I would have contracts. They know we would have all of our background safety checks here. Our CPR, first aid. They're going to be looking for what their children are eating, where they're going. If the provider is driving other children around and their kid is going to be in and out of a vehicle all day, that's something that they're going to want to think about. They're going to want to think about if the provider goes on vacation, when that is, how long they're taking, if they give good notice, because all of these things affect them at work. Everything trickles down, right? So if I call in the morning and I'm all of a sudden can't work, well, then they're affected. And potentially two parents miss work that day, or however it happens. So they need to be looking for a really wide variety of things, and it's really good to sit down and have a big good think about it, make a big list, and do your research on really what you're looking for. And if you don't have the gut feeling when you go to meet people, then you go somewhere where you do, because it's kind of like looking for a house. I say you have this feeling and you just know. And when you're looking for childcare, this person is raising your child with you. You have to have that feeling. If you don't, then you need to find it. When parents are leaving their children in childcare, they can sometimes have some anxiety about it. It's very normal. I think it's really important that they talk to their friends, talk to their provider, tell the provider how they're feeling, tell them what they're scared about, or if they're sad, and then the provider, like myself, can help to comfort them and answer all their questions, so they feel a lot more secure about going back to work.
Welcome back. Later in this segment, you'll hear more from Nadia. First, we introduce you to mother of four, Alicia, who talks about various lifestyle choices she's made over the years. You'll also meet Patricia, whose children are grown. She'll share about how the desire for a tribe endures across generations. All of our guests offer us insight into designing your life in a way that's best for your family.
My husband and I both really believe that it's our job to raise our children in the best ability that we can. When we were 24, we decided to start our family. And when we did that, we didn't take it lightly. We knew that we were going to be working very hard. So when we had our second son, I opened up a business to try and keep him at home and for me to stay home so that we could both financially be able to support our kids. And then it became a little bit more difficult when I had my third son, because we were working, both of us, so many hours, and we were finding that it wasn't the lifestyle that we really wanted. We were able to support the kids, but we were spending so much time, we were very stressed with all these other commitments. So it was at that point when we kind of decided that, well, what did we want our life to look like? What was most important to us? And for us, it was for me to be at home and to homeschool our children. So in order for that to happen, I actually had to sell my business, and it was a very difficult thing for me to do. I didn't want to sell it, but I felt it would benefit my family better in the long run. And that's when we decided that my husband would go up north and work there, because his salary would be double what it would have been here in the city. So that way we were able to still maintain the lifestyle that we had, but I would be home full time. I wouldn't have the extra responsibilities of running a business, and it was a preschool, so it was lots of parents and lots of children, right, other than my own, and long hours after the kids went to bed. And I was better able to focus on them, because that's what's most important for us. I think my tip for women who are trying to figure out the best way to live their lives as parents, as mothers, is to really look inside themselves and see if it's not working, it's not working. If society is saying that it needs to be a certain way, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be whichever way brings the most harmony in your family unit. If that means that mom works full-time or part-time or not at all, or if your kids go to school full-time or boarding school or homeschooling, you know, whatever works for you and your family and what feels right, just go with it. And you know what? Try it out, and if it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. You can try something new next year.
Just recently, actually, my daughter, who's 24 and she has 2 children of her own, said, you know, I guess it was from all those meetings we used to have in our homes that, you know, I just have this attitude that, you know, take what works for you and leave the rest behind, because I'm sure she's heard it a million times. And for her to grow up with that sense of wisdom, yeah, to not be insulted because someone's doing something different than you, to allow people to be where they are and who they are, and live in peace and harmony.
It's just incredible the amount that you grow as a person in just by having a child, because it's no longer about you, it's about them. But you also have to keep in mind that, you know, you are still there, you're just taking a little bit of a breather.
I think that the transformation to parenthood, to me, is a shift in thinking. I think it's a shift in a way of living. From the moment that you decide to conceive, or the moment that some of us just find out that we're expecting, that I think that it's the beginning of a change of life from what we've known into kind of the unknown.
To find your tribe, it really is just making yourself open to meeting new people, especially finding people in the same place that you're in. Because once you meet these people and you build your tribe, you're always going to be pulling people from other aspects of your life into that tribe, but there's going to be a couple core people that you've met and you shared those same experiences right from the beginning.
Find ways to connect with themselves and each other, to be able to find that inner strength and inner wisdom, because that's ultimately what's going to guide you.
Well, the internet has definitely changed the mommy world for sure. I can remember when I first had my son and there wasn't really any, well, Facebook didn't exist. So, you know, there was long periods where there was no contact with another adult. And then in 2008, I joined the wonderful world of social media, and, you know, all of a sudden there was all these other people that felt the same way I did or did things the same way, and it was great because your community just grew so greatly, and it's such a fast manner, right? So, but counter to that is that there is a lack of in real life relationships. There's that not being able to tell someone's tone. There's a lot of not being able to know where someone's coming from, you know, putting your foot in your mouth when you say something that is not what you shouldn't have really said, right? But you don't know because you don't know these people as well as you could if you could actually look at someone in the eyes when you're talking with them and being able to do those physical cues. So I think the internet and social media is absolutely wonderful for moms to get out there and to start connecting with people.
I think everybody has somebody that they connect with, and that allows them to decompress when they need to and just be a sounding board. And I think that is the key to supporting women, is fully empowering them and allowing them to just be heard.
It takes effort, especially when you have a new little baby and you're trying to get out the door, but to make that effort to go and connect and build your tribe is a worthwhile investment.
You really have to make those connections in real life, like actually go out and meet people. I know it's difficult, but you know, just go out and actually meet them and make your tribe a real physical tribe.
The most important point about the transformation into parenthood is finding support. And once you have people around you that will provide information or help you find resources or just support you in your decisions, can make a world of a difference as compared to feeling like you're alone in all of it.
You should never be alone on the parenting journey. I hope that the wisdom that you heard from today's guest was heartening. No matter what choices you make about birthing, parenting, feeding your baby, and how you spend your time, you deserve to be surrounded by a tribe of your choosing on the transformation to parenthood. Thanks for joining us.